Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug. Streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X. My name there is @Pless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach for trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the large cap tech stocks that I follow and trade, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups, for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, and setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Here's my agenda for today, Friday, July 5th. Editing error there. So it's Friday, July 5th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data for today. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if you have any stocks you want me to take a look at, please let me know. Please feel free to post your questions and comments as well. And hello, what you mean thirsty? Welcome, glad you're here. All right, let's get started. Economic data for today. First of all, the big data release for the week. Jobs report came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And this number was higher than expected, but lower than the previous number. And that is from screenshot from Financial Juice. All right, let's take a look at the reaction in the S&P 500. This is the data release at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Sharp move up and down. Support right around SPY 551. And resistance right around the SPY 553 call wall. This cluster of levels, I'll go over that more in just a minute. All right, so that was the reaction to the data. And now just after, right around 10:10, after consolidation, the S&P 500 is moving higher. All right, so this is the ES futures and Bookmap. And now I'm going to move on to positional analysis. So I want to start with the S&P 500. I'm going to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the underlying index, that is SPX. Go to a one-day chart and think or swim. I'll go through this quickly. We've seen this chart before. Big rally began last year. Correction began this year, April 1st. Rally resumed the Monday after the April expiration, slightly put-dominated expiration. These vertical red lines mark the expiration dates. A little bit of a pullback after the May expiration. Now the June expiration, there was a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a consolidation. And now SPX is moving higher. All right, so let's pick that up with a 1 hour chart, still sticking with SPX. So that was a one-day chart. Let's take a look at a 1 hour chart. So here's the June expiration, Friday, June 21st. That vertical line may be difficult to see. Consolidation between around 5450 and 5500 began before the June expiration continued after, and then beginning this week, SPX started to rally on Tuesday and has now broken above that 5500 level, heading toward the 5600 call wall. All right, so consolidation around the June heavily call-dominated options expiration. Now SPX moving higher. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. Note SPX is trading above the upper weekly expected move. It broke above that level on Wednesday. And hello, Anurag, welcome. Glad you're here as well. All right, so that's the weekly expected move. SPX trading above that level. And the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. Also based on the options market. That is based on the closing price for SPX from Wednesday. And SPX has still not reached the upper daily expected move for today. All right, that is the expected moves. I do post those levels in Discord every day the day before. So I posted these levels yesterday evening. All right, the dark red lines are showing Spotgamma levels. These are based on gamma-weighted open interest. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers on a variety of trading platforms. Again, this is Thinkorswim, a 30-day, 1 hour chart. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, let me see if I can zoom in on this a bit. So let me... I don't know if I can... All right, here we go. That should help quite a bit. All right, so this is Tuesday. when this rally began, break out above 5,500. All right, let me point out the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall is at 55.05. That's a strike with largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. That level did move up. That level did move up from Wednesday. And just above that is the volatility trigger at 55.10. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. And that tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. In a positive gamma environment, I'm looking for either a slow grind up, which is what's happening today, or mean reverting price action. So positive gamma typically is positive for markets, and again, looking for a grind up or potentially mean reverting price action. Not very large trend moves like in a negative gamma environment. All right, so both those levels moved up from Wednesday. Next level up is 55.50. That's that L1 level there. Stands for large gamma 1. That's the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. And the next level up is the 5,600 call wall. That's the strike with largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. And that is a potential price target into July expiration coming up in a couple of weeks. And I have an SPX butterfly waiting in that level. All right, so those are the levels. Again, for SPX, the volatility trigger and put wall shifted higher. Let me get this chart back to normal. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart. Rally began again Tuesday this week. Breakout above 5,500. That actually happened at the end of the day on Tuesday. This straight up mechanical rally continues. So SPX, again, are trading above the upper weekly expected move and above the absolute gamma strike. Next major level in sight is the 5,600 call wall. All right, let's go to Bookmap. Looks like I need to extend my trend line here. All right, let's go to Bookmap. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Just go to the regular trading hours. And we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. So again, I pointed out the SPY 551 level acting as support right after the data release at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So I have my own cloud notes here in Bookmap, so I can show SPY levels, SPX levels, and then key ES levels. So again, there's the SPY 551 level. Here's the SPY 553 call wall that acted as resistance earlier today. And again, I also have SPX levels on this chart. Here's the SPY 5 SPX 5560 level that was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. Price moving above that level. Note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX, and that difference has been moving around quite a bit. Earlier this morning it was closer to 54. Now it may be closer to 55 to 56. I'm using 55 right now. So I adjusted that in my price lines spreadsheet. So I'm showing SPX 55.60 at ES 56.15. All right, so those are levels in play for today. We'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, shifts in levels. Again, SPX volatility trigger put wall shifted higher. And for SPY, the volatility trigger shifted higher, put wall shifted lower, but the call wall shifted higher. So you can see the SPY call wall here, 553, price trading above that. Technically, in terms of SPY only, oversold. But again, remember the SPX 5600 call wall is still up above. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. One thing to note here, and it seems minor now in terms of the big picture for today, but just looking at the early morning, S&P 500 did make a lower low before moving higher. We'll see the NASDAQ actually made a higher low. So lower low for right around 1010 for the S&P 500. Let's move on to NASDAQ now. Take a look at that same time frame. NASDAQ made a higher low. Pull back to VWAP in that trend line. So NASDAQ stronger today. All right, so this is the NQ futures and Bookmap. And let's take a quick look at the underlying index charts. I'm going to go to QQQ. I need to update my levels here. Give me just a moment. Actually use the Fibonacci tool to do that. All right, so steady uptrend in NASDAQ all day. Levels in play for QQQ. 490 is the absolute gamma strike. That was the call wall on Wednesday, so that moved up to 500 now. And the absolute gamma strike also moved up to 490. 493.99. Around that level was resistance earlier today. That's a combo level, combo 2 level. And then on the rest of this chart, so far in the visible range, there are no more Spotgamma levels. Call wall is now up at 500. And QQQ trading well above its volatility trigger at 487. So there was a bullish hat trick for QQQ, volatility trigger, call wall, and absolute gamma strike all moved higher. That's very bullish. Again, a bullish hat trick for QQQ. All right, let's take a look at NDX. This is, let me zoom in. I'll go Wednesday through today. So levels in play for NDX today. This 20,200 acted as support earlier today. That is a large gamma 4 level. And then this is a combo 2 level here at 20,348 acting as support. All right, let's go back to NQ now. Here's the 20,200 level. So again, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show NDX levels and QQQ levels, as well as key NQ levels on this chart. So there's the 20,200 level that had acted as support just after the cash open. Here's that 493.99, basically 494 combo level for QQQ. And here's that NDX combo 2 level that acted as support just a few minutes ago. So it looks like initially NASDAQ found resistance at the QQQ 496 level, pulled back to this NDX level, and is now moving higher. Again, we'll take a look at setups in just a few minutes. All right, so again, bullish hat trick for QQQ, very bullish. And for NDX, the volatility trigger did shift slightly lower, 5 points, which is not significant. All right, so that's NASDAQ. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis by taking a look at Gamma Notional. Market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. And I'm looking at Gamma Notional for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Note all these numbers are positive. What this indicates is market maker's position. Traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma. In a positive gamma environment, they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to lead to a bullish market, potentially mean reverting price action. If that's the case, I would be looking to buy dips rather than sell rips, or also a grind higher, which is what is happening today. And we'll take a closer look at the options trades in just a few minutes to see what is actually driving that today. In fact, let's go ahead and do that now. All right, so positive gamma environment. At the beginning of the day, these numbers did all shift higher from earlier in the week. So they've been shifting higher on Tuesday, Wednesday, and today. All right, so that is wraps up my positional analysis. So based on this, I was looking for lower volatility, again, mean reverting or grind up. And also I was bullish. My thesis for the day was bullish, again, positive grind up, based on the shifts higher in levels for SPX, SPY, and QQQ. All right, so let's move on now to real-time data, to execution. So the data that we've looked at so far, other than the Bookmap, is based on static data. Spotgamma takes open interest data, applies their algorithms, comes up with the levels. Again, now let's move on to execution. Let's take a look at what options traders have been doing today. And I'm going to start with the S&P 500. So this is the hero signal in Spotgamma. This is provided to Spotgamma subscribers. HERO stands for HIRO, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. So what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. This is all into one combined signal. There are two lines on this chart. The first line is the price for SPX, and the second line is the hero signal. And a falling hero signal indicates traders are taking negative delta options positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. And a rising hero signal indicates they are taking positive delta options positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. All right, so there are two hero signals that we can take a look at for the S&P 500. This is the index signal. And the next signal, the one that is working today, the one that is closer to price is the equity signal. And this will be the same case for NASDAQ. All right, so this signal is another combined signal. It's showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the in the S&P 500 index. All right, so this is a signal that we're going to take a look at. So let's zoom in on this. And just looking at this signal, and note it is typically smoother, less choppy than the index signal. And again, today providing the best signal. Pullback entries right around 9:45, 10:10 as the hero signal continued to move higher. Let's take a closer look and see what traders have been doing today. I'm going to shift to puts and calls. Let me jump back to avoid the auto zoom. So this shows that traders are buying calls today. That's shown by the rising orange line. Call buyers definitely driving price today. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. So they are buying calls. Call buyers definitely driving price today. They're also selling puts. That's shown by the rising blue line. The direction of these lines in terms of options delta. So they're buying calls and selling puts. Blue line, orange line moving the same direction. In this case, they're moving up. Very powerful directional indicator. In this case, it's bullish. All right, so let's go to the S&P 500. I'm going to zoom in. All right, so let's think about this now. So based on the shifts in levels, my thesis for the day, directional bias, was bullish. And the S&P equity signal was pretty much rising from the cash open. Traders were buying calls. That is bullish. Take a look at cumulative volume delta in the subchart. That's this dark blue line, pretty much rising. So I'm looking to buy dips. So looking to buy dips. The volume dots in Bookmap show market buy minus sell. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. So sellers become exhausted here. Buyers step in. It took them a while. Same here. But price finally starts to make a series of higher lows. So really the most clear entry here was after 10:30. If you're conservative, waiting for a conservative entry. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Rising cumulative volume delta as price starts to move higher. Also, buy stop orders help to fuel the move higher. That's shown by the rising yellow line. Easiest thing to do today was just to buy a call. Whether it's SPY or SPX or ES, just buy a call and hold on to it. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. So again, NASDAQ stronger from the open, making, unlike S&P 500, which made a lower low, NASDAQ makes a higher low. Pull back to VWAP. Again, just like the S&P 500, rising cumulative volume delta shown by the dark blue line. Buy stop orders fueling the move higher. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go back to Hero. All right, let me close full screen. All right, so just like the S&P 500, there are two signals that we can take a look at for the NASDAQ. The first is the index signal, showing a combined signal of options trades and market maker hedging activity in NDX and QQQ. And then there's this other signal, similar to the S&P equity signal. This is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Tesla. And these stocks are definitely driving the market today. So let's go back to full screen. So just like the S&P equities, which is really today kind of the 493 plus 7. So traders buying calls in the Mag 7 stocks. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge the delta exposure. And this started moving higher just about 5 minutes after the cash open. This price, the white line, is for a QQQ. So they're buying calls, price shown in terms of QQQ, deep pullback entries, buying calls and selling puts. All right, let's go back to NQ now. Zoom in just a little bit. All right, there's that pullback to right around NDX 20,200, large gamma 4 level. Note also the iceberg order at that level. That was actually 7 different orders, 112 contracts executed. Note that on this portion of the chart, so far this iceberg order has not been completely filled, hence the blue line, the horizontal blue line there. All right, so NASDAQ reverses higher up to that 493.99 combo 2 level, pulls back to VWAP. Cumulative volume delta continues to rise as traders buy calls in the Mag 7 stocks. NASDAQ makes a series of higher lows. Right around 1230. We'll take a look at Hero in just a moment. Price makes it up to 496, pulls back, and has resumed higher, now pulling back again. So let's go take a look at Hero, see what options traders are doing in the Mag 7 stocks. Zoom in a bit. Notice how starting right around 1220, call buyers take their foot off the gas and price consolidates. Then right around 110, they start buying calls again. Price starts to move higher. Let's go back and check those times in Bookmap. 1220, 110. So price actually starts to move lower here about 1230. Then 110 starts to move higher again. As traders resume buying calls, cumulative volume delta starts to rise. All right, let's go back to Hero. Now call buyers have taken their foot off the gas again. All right, Anurag asks, why are the icebergs going down if the price is going up for NASDAQ? All right, let's take a look at that. All right, the icebergs are shown on the subchart with this light blue line. This is cumulative for the day since I opened Bookmap right around 6:45 a.m. Eastern Time. This is very typical behavior. Large traders use iceberg orders to hide their size. They very often will fade the move, so they will sell strength and buy weakness with iceberg orders. Again, remember, these are large traders. They can withstand a lot more pain than a smaller retail traders. Very typical behavior for large traders. Again, will fade the move, sell strength, and buy weakness. And you can see that when you have this subchart iceberg line in some mode here. So you can see the overall trend for today is slightly lower. Let's check S&P 500. So note, large traders were fading this move. This is earlier today with iceberg orders. So once large traders stopped selling with iceberg orders, that's about when the S&P 500 started to move higher. So it looks like these iceberg orders for about the first hour were leading to some consolidation here. And once the large traders with iceberg orders took their foot off the gas, that's when price started to move higher. Again, as traders were buying calls in the S&P 500 stocks. All right, Anurag, hope that makes sense. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at some stocks. Unless anybody has any other questions about the S&P 500 or NASDAQ. Well, it looks like I need to add more lines here to Apple. It's been a strong week for Apple. All right, let's take a look at Apple now in the hero signal. So the theme for today in stocks is calls, call walls, and the hero signal. All right, so let's start with the hero signal. So what I've done here in this kind of subpane here in the stock screener, this is my watch list. These are kind of the main stocks that I follow, and I have ranked them by hero signal from the strongest to the weakest. What this is showing, this hero signal right here, the dot is the current signal, and it's comparing the strength of the hero signal for the last 30 days. That's the entire length of the slider. So this hero signal for AMD and Meta on the far right, so that's the strongest that it has been in the last 30 days. The colored portion is the last 5 days. So the hero signal for AMD is the strongest that it has been in the last 30 days and the last 5 days. All right, so that's the hero signal. And these are some of the stocks that we're going to take a look at for bullish setups, AMD, Meta, and Google. All right, so that is the hero signal. Now let's move on. Let's go back to full screen, back to Apple. Again, Apple has been very strong. Same today. Traders buying calls, shown by the rising orange line. 225 is the call wall. So in the case of Apple, notice how call buyers take the foot off the gas as price reached that 225 call wall, doing its job, acting as resistance as expected. So in this case, the call wall did act as resistance, but it was a good trade for Apple up to the 225 call wall. Let's go back to Bookmap. Quick move up to, let me zoom in on this. Quick move up to the call wall this morning in the first hour. Note the high liquidity at that level. Very typical of stocks. This morning, these were limit sell orders. They came in just at the cash open. Very typical for stocks. They will stay in the order book until they're filled. And those levels act as magnets for price. In the subchart, first of all, I have cumulative volume delta that's shown consistently rising. You can just see all the green volume dots, a lot of aggressive buyers as well as call buyers. The other indicator I have in the subchart is the market pulse price change. And I use this to mark the deeper pullbacks. So if I'm looking for a pullback entry, in this case for a long, these deeper pullbacks are typically marked by this market pulse price change extreme. Extremes to the downside shown with the bright red, extremes to the upside shown with the bright green. And for a long entry, I'm looking for the red extreme. So there's a deeper pullback. Of course, you could have gotten in anywhere, especially if you just bought a call. Not worried too much about getting stopped out. So again, these market pulse price change marking the deeper pullbacks. And of course, the obvious price target, again, the 225 call wall, high liquidity level. So now it looks like Apple may be trying to break out above that level. Let's go back to Hero, see what options traders are doing. All right, so basically consolidating with the exception of this vertical line here, large block order, large institutional order buying calls kind of late in the day at the call wall. All right, let's move on. AMD, next on my list. Strong day in AMD. Again, traders buying calls. Flow alert right at the cash open. Rising orange line, traders buying calls. Now in this case, AMD is trading above the call wall. That's also the key gamma strike all day. Gapped up and traded above that level. So that's where most of the calls are concentrated. And for stocks, Spotgamma assumes that traders are long calls, market makers are short calls. And as price continues to rise, their delta is becoming more negative. Those calls are going deeper in the money. They have to continue to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. So will the call wall breach like that? And we'll see some other examples of that in just a minute. Again, as price continues to move higher, traders are buying calls, and market makers have to continue to buy calls to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so a couple of consolidation points. First of all, call buyers take their foot off the gas. Right around 11 a.m., price consolidates. They start again about 11:45. Price starts to move higher, more consolidation. Call buyers definitely driving AMD today. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to AMD. $165 call wall. Price broke above that level right before the cash open. Rising cumulative volume delta. A lot of aggressive buyers. Market pulse price change. Marks the deeper pullbacks. Pull back the VWAP there. All right, so now as call buyers have taken their foot off gas, price consolidates. Again, deep pullbacks as call buyers took their foot off the gas. Aggressive buyers start to come in right around 170. All right, let's go back to Hero. Next stock, Amazon. And the point of showing Amazon here is to show the call wall. So in this case, just like Apple, call wall acting as resistance. AMD and Meta we'll take a look at next. Much more volatile stocks typically than Apple and Amazon. Both AMD and Meta trading well above their call walls, whereas Apple and Amazon are finding resistance at their call walls. All right, so let's zoom in on this. So this was a very early move higher for about 15 minutes. Aggressive call buyers, flow alert comes in. Call buyers take the foot off the gas as price reaches the 200 call wall. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Amazon. So again, Amazon, quick move early, move up earlier. Call buyers take the foot off the gas at the 200 call wall, and now price consolidating around that level. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at Meta. Oh, Google is next. And I believe Google has trading above its 185 call wall as well. Kind of unusual for Google, but definitely a strong day. Let's go to Google. Traders buying calls, shown by the rising orange line. There's the 185 call wall key gamma strike. Same idea as AMD. Market makers short calls going deeper in the money. They have to continue to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Traders continue to buy calls. And Google consolidating right around 190. High liquidity at that level, acting as a target for price. Now price moving higher. Let's go back to Hero. All right, so Hero starting to rise again. Looks like several institutional orders here. Kind of odd to see that late on a Friday afternoon. All right, so that is Google. And let's take a look at Meta. Very, very strong day in Meta today. And now it breached this call wall early in the morning. Traders aggressively buying calls. Flow alert comes in, sharply rising orange line. Traders buy calls. Market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. They're also selling puts, shown by the rising blue line. 515 call wall. So price breached that after the open. Let's go to Meta. Again, a very strong day in Meta here. 515 call wall breach early in the morning. Very typical for Meta, very strong. Very strong early in the morning with aggressive call buyers. Price consolidates. After reaching the 535 level. High liquidity price targets. Primarily at the zeros and the fives. 525, 530. Or let's go back to Hero. Note price starts to consolidate or right around 1125. Let's check Hero, see what options traders are doing in that time. So that is when the call buyers took their foot off the gas. Price starts to consolidate. Call buyers driving price higher in Meta today. All right, those are all the stocks that I had on my watch list to cover today. Does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at or any questions? All right, let's check on the S&P 500. Let's go back to Bookmap. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. So call buyers have now slightly turned to call sellers. Oops. Notice that is right at the upper daily expected move for ES. High for the day so far, upper daily expected move. So if you bought a call down here, now is probably a very good time to exit. Let's check on NASDAQ then. What do you mean? What you mean Thirsty wants to take a look at Intel. Okay. I don't have that in Bookmap. We'll take a look in Hero in just a minute. All right, so NASDAQ. Zoom in. Making a slightly lower high. Let's go back to Hero. Check Mag 7. All right, so they continue to buy calls on the Mag 7. Let's check the NASDAQ signal. In the index signal, they are now selling calls and buying puts. So in this case, blue line, orange line moving in the same direction. In this case, down. So that is bearish. Somewhat in conflict with the Mag 7 signal. In this case, blue line, orange line, still moving up. All right, so what you mean Thirsty wants to take a look at Intel. All All right, so it looks like Intel has breached its call wall. At 31.50. This looks like decent size for Intel today. Call buyers. Flow alert comes in at the open. Traders buying calls up until about 11:45, 12 o'clock. Take the foot off the gas. Price consolidates. All right, so call buyers driving price as well as the call wall breach for Intel today. Let's take a look at some other stocks. Check with NVIDIA. Choppy day in NVIDIA. So kind of rotating out of NVIDIA into some of the other Mag 7 stocks like Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta. Check Microsoft. Call buyers. Here's another call wall breach. Let's take a look at Microsoft and Bookmap. Back to Hero. All right, 460 is the call wall key gamma strike, which acts as support right after the cash open. Actually, the 459 level. Price breaks above that level. As traders buy calls, let's go back to Hero. So the sharp move higher up until about 10 a.m., a little bit after. Then the slope of the line for the call line becomes less steep, but Microsoft is continuing to grind higher. So they're buying calls, they're also selling puts. Let's take a look at Tesla. Kind of a choppy day here in Tesla. 250 is the call wall. Looks like for Tesla, the call wall is doing its job, acting as resistance. Let's check in Bookmap. $250 call wall definitely doing its job, acting as resistance. As traders take profits after a very good week in Tesla. Note all the aggressive sellers that have come in after the test of the call wall, again after 11 a.m. You can see cumulative volume delta shifts lower. Aggressive sellers start to come in. A couple of different trend lines here. Aggressive sellers start to come in. You can see all the magenta volume dots. Go back to the S&P 500. All right, last call for stocks and questions. S&P 500 now also making a lower high. All right, no more questions, no more stocks. Okay. All right, everyone, I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks again, everyone. Bye.